It is exactly at the top of the hour. Welcome to our broadcast. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim. The sign language interpreter at the bottom end of the screen is Lucy Morris. Stick around for the next 1 hour or so to get the latest in the country and beyond our borders. Also talk to us on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1 and at Abdiaziz Hashim 2. Let's move over to the Augusta House where Hannah Cheptumo and Geoffrey Roku have received the green light for the appointment as cabinet secretaries to the ministries of Gender and Public Service respectively. This is after the National Assembly approved their nomination. MPs, however, faulted Cheptumo's claims during a vetting that some female university students are murdered in short-stay apartments as they, quote, chase after money. Meanwhile, the fate of Stephen Isaboke, nominated as the Principal Secretary for Broadcasting and Telecommunication, hangs in the balance. The National Assembly Committee on ICT, in a departure from the norm, recommended if appointed, he be reassigned to different ministries, citing conflict of interest owing to the role at the Go TV Kenya Limited. The House is also expected to approve 13 Principal Secretary nominees.
Mr. Speaker, the order number 13 has been called out, Mr. Speaker, where we are going to debate on the nominees for cabinet secretaries. And one of the nominees seated here, Mr. Speaker, you cannot skin a monkey when he's looking at you. That is the African proverb, Mr. Speaker, from where I come from. So can he leave the chamber so that members can have freedom to speak about him, what they think about him, Mr. Speaker?
I have not seen any monkey in the house this morning.
On the professionalism of Anna Wendot Cheptumo, I still think that the statement she made was unfortunate. It's completely politically incorrect.
Order.
Honorable Speaker, I hope the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Gladys Bosholei, has heard what I said, that it was inadvertent, and therefore, on behalf of the good lady, may I offer unreserved apologies, because indeed I'm certain it's something she regretted after she watched what had happened, and I have since spoken to her, and she has offered her unreserved apologies.
And not to agree with the killers that they were looking for money or they were looking for what? Who told you when you are with a woman in a room she's looking for money? Who told you? It could be the man who's looking for money. It could be the man who's poor. It could be the man who doesn't have money and he wants to con the woman, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, don't underrate women nowadays with money. Many women are rich. Some of them who are sitting here are very rich women. I know.
I know the statement did not go well with many of us, but we are all human beings. And that is why today I stand to request and plead with all the women of this country to forgive Hannah Wendeto Cheptumo.
That we have to pass this thing on sympathy because she's a widow and that she has seriously suffered and so on. But we must accept, honorable members, that in future we should not come to the House and say that we appoint ministers on sympathy.
Still at the Augusta House, the Communications Authority is set to carry out a field assessment this June in remote insecurity-prone areas. The aim is to bridge communication gaps and boost response capabilities for security agencies operating in these regions. Cabinet Secretary for Information, Communication and the Digital Economy, William Kabogo, said the government is exploring interim solutions, among them the optimization and quality service improvement to provide short-term connectivity as broader infrastructure rollout continues. Says Kabogo was speaking in response to concerns about poor network coverage.
Cabinet Secretary explained to this Senate why has been the delay of establishing network in the border areas of Turkana County, and even not Turkana County alone, even in the nation. For example, there is poor network in border of Kisii and Ethiopia.
The ministry's emphasizes very much on connectivity of high security areas, and indeed the entire country, Mr. Speaker. But for areas where we do not have fiber optic, Mr. Speaker, we are working with satellite providers like Starlink, ATC masts, so that we can use their facilities to be able to give connectivity, especially on the mobile platform. But you realize, Mr. Speaker, that we have a plan to run 100,000 kilometers of fiber optic. But on those areas where there are security issues, we rely on our collaboration, Mr. Speaker, with the other providers like ATC, Safaricom, Starlink, those that have capacity to do satellite provision of services. Mr. Speaker, I submit.
Well, of course, our very own Kamche Menza will brief us in our subsequent bulletins. Now to Isiolo County, where the chairperson of the National Gender and Equality Commission, that is Ngek Rehema Jaldesa, has called for the collaboration among all stakeholders in the fight against gender-based violence, GBV, in that county. In the country, rather, Jaldesa acknowledged the significant progress made in promoting gender equality and freedom of expression. However, she emphasized that a more concerted effort is required to eradicate the persistent scourge of violence against women and other vulnerable populations.
At the start of a 3-day public forum, Jaldesa emphasized that while progress has been made, more robust partnerships are vital to end violence against women and vulnerable groups and inclusion of men to eliminate harmful practices like FGM and early marriages.
And these are the active men, I call it, because it has the fathers of teenage boys, and we are looking forward to doing an advisory so that then the government can establish a fund that will support, or an intervention that will speak directly to that segment.
Isiolo Deputy Governor Dr. James Lowassa echoed the sentiments, noting that there are plans for a GBV rescue center at the Isiolo Referral Hospital.
Isiolo County, through the Department of Gender, has put in place several policies and regulations that are going a long way in protecting the common mwananchi, specifically the women and children and the people with disability.
Both leaders stressed that fractured family structures are hindering progress. The GEC will continue its engagements in Isiolo, pushing for equality and stronger GBV response mechanisms. Mariambo reporting for the Lunchtime News.
Residents of Kiabogesi in Kenyanya Sub-County, Kisii County are calling for speedy investigations into the death of a livestock trader whose lifeless body was discovered in his house after an attack by unknown assailants the previous evening. According to eyewitnesses, the 71-year-old Samuel Mandera had gone to visit his grandchildren at Mogonga Market before he was lured to his by attackers and a son-in-law in terms of the belief of a long-standing land dispute. Authorities have since launched investigations into the incident as family members as well as locals demand justice.
Jioni akukura akasema amepigwa sehemu ya Mogonga, akalala. Asubuhi mzee amepatikana kama amekufa kwa kitanda.
Mzee alikuja akasema amefumaniwa na majambazi na vijana wawili. Muuliza ni ilikuwaje, akasema huyu mtoto wangu ambaye mtoto ameoa msichana yake amempeleka mahali na amemwacha huko, amemwambia wacha nichukue panga nitavutie nyasi ng'ombe, kisha akamwajia hao wakifumana naye.
Familia tumekasirika, Kenyoro kimekasirika, and we know because ako na maparua ya case, alistaki case, hiyo case na samba yake, mambo yake yote ndio sasa kufuatilia ndio inamuua.
Elsewhere, residents of Mandera County are increasingly turning to farming, moving away from their traditional reliance on pastoralism following the growing challenges of persistent drought and food insecurity in the devolved unit. Now, to support this transformative shift, local NGOs such as the Rakeda, in collaboration with the Mandera County government through the Hanano project, are spearheading efforts to enhance agricultural resilience across the region. The initiative aims to boost household food security, improve agricultural productivity, and promote climate-smart farming practices that can withstand the region's arid conditions.
Kile ambacho nawaomba ni kwamba muweze kutumia hii ku increase productivity ili tusikuwe na njaa. Ile chakula ambayo umejipandia na ukaharvest inakuwa ni tamu zaidi kushinda ile ambayo unaletewa, haujui kama ni GMO, haujui iko namna gani, lakini ile umepanda na ukavuna, hiyo ndio tunataka ku-encourage wakulima wetu waweze kuwa na more proactive na waweze kupanda na waweze kupata chakula zaidi.
With the provision of these seeds, we expect the farmers to utilize the improved variety of seeds, whereby they will be able to increase the farm input of these targeted farmers, which will enhance the agricultural productivity and resilience, as it is crucial in improving preventing in Mandera triangle.
And of course, on that note, we need to take a short commercial break. It is exactly 12 minutes past the hour. When we come back, we'll be telling you what is the latest in the world of business as well as sports.
Vultures are gathering, Ladama. With every bit that falls, power shifts.
I want them to feel the emptiness I feel.
All of our property and assets shall be left to Amichir Atesa.
Our legacy unravels.
Mimi ndio sheria, mfalme wale Murat.
Who will be left standing when the last beat falls? Shanga Season 2 starts Tuesday, 22 April at 8 p.m. on Maisha Magic Plus. Stay connected to DSTV channel 163 and GoTV channel 3.
From the bliss of new beginnings to the trials of commitment, this is a celebration of resilience, passion, and the power of togetherness. Join us as we unravel real-life stories, because every journey deserves to be cherished. For better, for worse. On KBC Channel 1.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Continue interacting with us on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1 and at Abdiaziz Hashim 2. Now let's go here to some part of the capital where Mathare slum residents are now calling on the national government to consider them in the affordable housing project to enable them live a decent life. The residents say most of their houses were damaged by the heavy rains experienced in the city, with many forced to spend the night in the cold. Speaking during a tour of the area, Nairobi River Commissioners, that is Josephat Sagero and Amos Chege, underscored the importance of the project and its benefit, including the setting up of social amenities.
Kama inawezekana wajengewe na wasimamiwe na serikali bila kulipishwa chochote, sababu hawana uwezo wowote.
Kama akona hii mradi ikuje Mathare, atuwekee bei ile sisi tutaweza, kama mashosho ile tutaweza kufanya nini kulipa, asituwekee kama wale wadosi.
Hizi manyumba pia nia ya serikali ni kwamba mkae mahali kuna maji, kuna stima, kuna yale mahitaji ambayo mwanadamu anafanya nini anahitaji, na mwe mnakaa katika mazingira ambayo ni mazuri. Pia hata shule zijajengwa pale, hata zile kanisa ambazo zitakuwa zinaondolewa zitafikiriwa, hata msikiti ambao siko pale zitafikiriwa. Serikali haiko hapa kuwadhuru.
Speaking at the start of a 3-day.
Well, earlier this morning, the head of state, that is President William Ruto, had commissioned cadets a parade at the Kenya Military Academy in Lanet, Nakuru County. Let's listen into what the head of state had to say in that particular event.
I commend the Kenya Defence Forces for staying ahead of the curve by retooling training methods, adopting cutting-edge technologies, and building agile leaders ready to meet today's complex security demands. Through these efforts, KDF remains the bulwark of peace and stability, not only in Kenya, but also in the region and in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, national prosperity is built on the pillars of peace, good governance, and inclusive development. Our defense forces are key to upholding these values. Their presence ensures stability, attracts investment, and inspires both national and global confidence.
Well, you do know what is happening in one of our neighboring countries, that is Kampala, Uganda. It is a Kiswahili conference that has brought stakeholders across the African-speaking Swahili nations, and they have converged there in Kampala. Let me get more from our very own, that is Nancy Okware. Nancy, good afternoon and good to see you. What more can you tell us about the conference today?
A very good afternoon to you. We are coming to you live from the Kololo Independence Grounds right here in Kampala, Uganda. Today being Wednesday is the final and of course the third day of the International Kiswahili Conference that kicked off on Monday. It has brought together scholars from across the African region just to talk about what needs to be done to ensure that Kiswahili gains traction across the region. And of course I'll be engaging some of the scholars that have been in attendance since Monday, just to get an overview of what they could take home from this conference. And you'll allow me to speak in Kiswahili given that this is the International Kiswahili Conference. Tutaanza kwa kuzungumza nawe Viola, ambaye ni mwalimu wa Kiswahili kutoka Uganda. Umekuwa hapa tangu siku ya Jumatatu. Tueleze ni kipi ambacho unajivunia sana kutokana na kongamano hili?
Asante sana. Mimi ni mwalimu Natkwasa Viola kutoka shule ya kijeshi la Bombo. Nimehudhuria masiku yote matatu. Nimesoma vitu vingi kuhusu lugha ya Kiswahili. Sisi kama walimu tunapenda lugha, na kongamano hii imenifundisha mambo mengi. Nimefundishwa umuhimu wa lugha ya Kiswahili, nimefundishwa namna lugha ya Kiswahili inavyosaidia katika biashara, nimefundishwa mengi kuhusu lugha ya Kiswahili. Na ninaomba marais wetu wote waendeleze lugha ya Kiswahili kuanzia vidato vya msingi hadi vyuoni.
Na asante sana kwa muda wako, tutazidi tu kuzungumza nawe. Na vile vile ningependa tu kumhusisha mwingine, pengine utajitambulisha, utueleze umetoka wapi na ni kipi ambacho unajivunia hasa kongamano hili linapoenda kukamilika.
Asante sana, mimi naitwa Emmanuel Nirora kutoka Chuo Kikuu cha Rwanda, Koleji ya Elimu. Kuhusu swali lako, kongamano hili linifaa sana, nilihudhuria siku 3 zote. Kwanza ni Kiswahili ni lugha ya kimataifa, hilo ni la kwanza la kujivunia. Kingine ni kwamba Kiswahili kinatumiwa katika shughuli nyingi sana, hasa katika elimu, biashara na shughuli nyingine. Kingine ninachopendekeza ni kwamba nchi zote za Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki Kiswahili kweli kiwe rasmi na kitumiwe katika shughuli zote, na sera zitekelezwe kabisa, na tutoke katika maneno tuweke katika vitendo. Asanteni sana.
Na asante sana kwa muda wako. Na kama tunavyofahamu ni kongamano ambalo limewaleta wengi tu kutoka katika mataifa mbalimbali. Utajitambulisha tu, tueleze jina lako, umetoka upande upi na siku hizi 3 zimekuwa vipi, kile ambacho umejifunza kutokana na kongamano hili.
Asante sana. Mimi naitwa Profesa Athmani Ponera kutoka Chuo Kikuu cha Dodoma, Tanzania. Kwa hakika nimekuwepo hapa kwa siku zote 3. Jambo kubwa kabisa nililojifunza zuri ni kwamba linahusu utashi wa serikali kukipokea na kukisambaza Kiswahili. Unaona tupo hapa kwa ridhaa ya serikali, pengine haya mambo yanahitaji gharama. Hili ni jambo kubwa sana. Lakini lingine nililojifunza ni kwamba fikra za wananchi wa Uganda zimebadilika kuelekea kwenye kukumbatia Kiswahili. Hili ni jambo zuri sana pengine kuliko ilivyokuwa huko nyuma. Kwa hivyo niombe serikali na wadau wengine waliopo hapa na wengine wa Afrika Mashariki, kwa kweli tupige hatua tuwasaidie Uganda na mataifa mengine ya Afrika Mashariki yaliyojiunga na Afrika Mashariki kama vile DRC pamoja na Somalia na nini, kukifanya Kiswahili kweli kiwe ni lugha ambayo inawaunganisha Wanaafrika Mashariki na Afrika kwa ujumla. Kwa hiyo ni jambo zuri tumejifunza hapa, na ninafikiri kwa kweli mambo haya ndio yafanyike mara kwa mara. Naam.
Asante sana kwa muda wako. Na pia kutoka nchini Kenya tunaye Wala bin Wala ambaye anafahamika kwa uandishi wa vitabu mbalimbali ikiwemo Kiswahili Mufti ambacho wengi walikisoma wakati ule wakiwa wachanga. Bwana Wala, shukrani sana kwa muda wako. Kongamano linakamilika, tulikuona kuanzia siku ya Jumatatu. Tunapoelekea mbele, unaona kuna matumaini kwamba lugha ya Kiswahili itazidi kukuzwa katika eneo hili?
Matumaini yapo, na sio matumaini madogo, ni matumaini makubwa sana. Kusema kweli, wananchi wa nchi za Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki wameshaamua kuendeleza na kutekeleza Kiswahili kwa kutumia Kiswahili. Kilichobaki na kinachobaki kwa hivi sasa tunapozungumza ni utekelezaji tu, na utekelezaji umekwisha anza. Sasa ni jukumu letu sisi sote, wananchi, viongozi, wanahabari, kusaidia katika kukuza na kuendeleza. Mimi nilialikwa rasmi kuja kuzungumzia hali ya matumizi ya Kiswahili katika vyombo vya habari vya Afrika Mashariki. Nilivyosema jana katika mazungumzo yangu, vyombo vya habari namba moja ni watu wenyewe, binadamu wenyewe. Ninyi watangazaji ndio mnachukua habari mnapeleka kwenye vyombo. Kwa hivyo mnachopeleka kwenye redio, kwenye televisheni na magazeti ndicho kinachopokelewa na wananchi wote. Na kwa kuwa ninyi waandishi wa habari na vyombo vya habari mmekwisha kubali kutekeleza wajibu huu na mnatumia Kiswahili, mnatangaza Kiswahili, mna vipindi vya Kiswahili na Waganda wanavipenda, basi kazi imekamilika. Waganda wameamua, Afrika Mashariki imeamua, Wakenya tuliamua kitambo. Kiswahili kiko katika kiwango cha juu sana. Kama kuna mengine ni ya kuongezea, hakuna ziada mbovu. Ndiyo.
Asante sana kwa muda wako.
Nashukuru sana.
Na bila shaka mtazamaji, huyu amekuwa ni Wala bin Wala ambaye ni mwandishi kutoka humu nchini Kenya, na vilevile tumezungumza tu na baadhi ya wahadhiri na hata walimu kutoka mataifa mbalimbali ambao wamekongamana hapa nchini Uganda kwa kongamano la Kiswahili ambalo linakamilika leo hii. Na basi kutoka upande huu hatuna la ziada ila kurejesha kwenye studio. Jina langu ni Nancy Okware.
Okware, thank you for that particular bit. You've just heard today is the last day of the Kiswahili conference in Kampala, Uganda. She will give us a detailed report in our subsequent bulletins. Let's come back here to the country, where a 3-day workshop for secondary school teachers in Elgeyo Marakwet kicked off, aimed at enhancing the capacity to school heads to handle the transition to the competence-based curriculum, CBC. The workshop, organized by the Center for Mathematics, Science and Technology Education in Africa, focused on training the heads on 3 main career pathways that align with learners' aspirations and capabilities. The workshop coordinator, George Kiruja, emphasized the significance of his transition, describing it as a major milestone in aligning career pathways with learners' interests and abilities. Teacher Service Commission County Director Lois Murray expressed confidence in the county's preparedness in transition for the first cohort of grade 10 learners in 2026.
These 3 days, we will have brought in the CBE gospel. And as we buy in the CBE gospel, we are then going out to be the preachers.
Competence-based curriculum and competence-based assessment, which we are calling competence-based education. Because when we talk of competence-based education, then we are taking care of the curriculum, its delivery, and its assessment. I know questions have been coming up on what's the difference between CBC and CBE. CBE is the umbrella. It takes care of competence-based curriculum, its delivery, and its assessment. So please, let's have that understanding.
And in other news, the family of renowned Busia-based journalist John Ojanji has commenced preparations for his burial. Ojanji, who was a reporter with Western Nyota, had battled cancer before his demise. The journalist, who passed away on Sunday last week, aged 70, has been hailed for his dedication to the craft and unwavering commitment to the truth.
According to Senior Chief Thomas Mudoga, brother of late veteran journalist John Ojanji, Ojanji had battled prostate cancer for a year before his death. Mudonga father said that it took the family a long time to realize their brother had been silently battling prostate cancer, something that made him go through excruciating pain during the entire period.
That journey was very, very painful as a family because we saw him really struggling with that pain. Alipoanza kugua, it took us time kujua kwamba Jobi yuko na cancer.
Speaking to journalists at their home in Budedu, area of Budalangi constituency, the area administrator termed the late Onyanji as an astute and fearless journalist who did his work with passion.
He has been my mentor in this field of journalism, and he has always been challenging me kwa mambo kadha wa kadha.
The late Ojanji was born in Uganda in 1955 and started his journalism career in Uganda before later returning to Kenya to advance his career. Preparations for his burial are currently underway. Doreen Arange for Lunchtime News.
Let's head over to Busia, where residents of Busia County across the 7 sub-counties took part in a public participation exercise to deliberate on the 9.4 billion shillings budget estimate for the financial year 2025-2026, where they accessed revenue streams to raise more funds for the county through their own source revenue. Tussa North Sub-County Administrator Silas Juma, while responding to concerns by residents, hailed the county government of Busia on the proposal to introduce levies on sand mining and livestock market fees as a measure to boost their own source revenue. Residents, however, want more allocation in agriculture and education.
Sand mining has been done on land, which we need to enact legislation to enable that to happen. But we are also going to engage them at the very sites. So we are going to plan public participation in liaison with our counterparts in the national government administration so that we talk to our people on why they should not do sand mining now.
Kwa wale wanachimba mchanga ni kwamba inatakana au watoshe ushuru na pia waweze kuhifadhi hiyo habari ya environment, kwa sababu wanatosha ushuru na ilhali inasababisha tena environment iharibike.
The services they render to the public, hiyo service iko tu chini sana. Sasa tunashindwa, mbona hiyo wage bill inakuwa juu, na tena tunaangalia ni kama kuna wale wafanyakazi gushi katika hii Busia yetu. So ni afadhali wage bill irudi chini.
Youths have been challenged to use social media positively as a tool of communication instead of propagating hatred and misinformation. Kajiado East legislator Kakuta Maimai is decrying what he says is a rampant misuse of social media among youths. A senior DCC, Michael Yatur, waded into the use of social media by the youth, citing it is a reflection of the decaying morals, calling for a holistic approach to improve the use of the platform. Maimai was speaking in Kitengela during the launch of an early disbursement of a CDF in the county.
About time that we ask our young people that to focus on positive engagement, positive thinking, and also positive communication, because as the country moves forward, we cannot move forward when we have a young generation that is so focused on negativity, and there is a lot to be proud of in the world.
Social media inaweza kutumika kutusaidia. We can use it as a marketing avenue. Tunaweza tumia kama soko. Kama uko na product, uko na biashara unataka kufanya, tunaweza kutumia kwa social media ili iweze kutusaidia kutuchenga. Pia si makosa kutumia social media ku criticize ama kucritique viongozi wetu ama anybody. We can do it. Tunaweza fanya positively. Tunaweza tumia kuuliza maswali ambayo ni ya maana.
And now welcome to the world of business. We start off with the marginalized groups drawn from Lunga Lunga constituency in Kwale County have been provided with an array of tools to help them commercialize their ventures. Now, area member of parliament, that is Fatuma Masito, says this will enable locals to access better opportunities within the area as they contribute towards the general betterment of the society as a whole. The project was funded by the National Government Affirmative Action Fund, aims to ensure various groups in the county benefit from the government services.
Miaka 10 ya uongozi wa kina mama ndani ya Kwale County, maisha yao yatabadilika.
Mradi kama huu ukija kwa kikundi ni mradi mkubwa, kwa sababu pesa ya kikundi si pesa binafsi ya kusema utanunua unga kitoweo nini, ni pesa yenyewe inakaa na iumbi. Kwa hiyo miradi kama hii inatuenua sana sisi wa mama.
Ujio wa mradi huu wa tent utasaidia pakubwa, kwa sababu mtu yoyote kama kuna matanga mtu anakodisha tent, kikundi kinapata pesa. Kama kuna harusi the same.
Devolved in it, that is Kilifi County, where several quarry operators in Kilifi County have been forced to suspend their operations following a regulatory crackdown by the Ministry of Mining over non-compliance with licensing requirements. Blue Economy and Maritime Affairs Cabinet Secretary, that is Hassan Ali Joho, says some of the companies had violated regulations and were using mining permits to operate instead of mining licenses, which is against the law.
Under Kenya's mining regulation, permits are meant for small-scale operation, while licenses carry broad obligation including community engagement, environmental safeguard and infrastructure support. The shutdown is expected to temporarily affect the supply of construction material in the region, particularly stone and blast sourced from these quarries.
Makosa ya kwanza nimeona hapa Kaliang'ombe, watu wanatumia mining permit instead of mining license, yet the operation is big. Na kwa sababu hao ni wajanja, mining license will require wewe ukae na wananchi na uwe na mkataba na wananchi na ulipe rasilimali ya mwananchi.
Industry analysts anticipate potential supply chain disruption for developers and contractors operating in the coastal region, depending on the duration of the suspension.
Mbali na kwamba tunalia ya kwamba tumebomolewa nyumba zetu zinanyufa, tunataka nafasi zetu za kazi ziweze kupatikana ndani ya Rabai.
Kampuni ambayo inarudisha mkono kwa umma. Hakuna kampuni ambayo inatoa basari kwa watoto wetu hapa Rabai. Ni kweli si kweli?
Tulitoa multi-agency team ambayo walienda kwa kila quarry, mheshimiwa, na kuangalia kwa kila boma na kuona na kuassess the damage and destructions. Na tukatayarisha report na tukasubmit kwao, na tukatoa list ya wale watu wameharibikiwa na tukawaambia mlipe wao. Hadi wa leo, na hiyo ni miaka imepita, hawajafanya mpaka saa hizi.
This regulatory shift serves as a reminder to mining and construction stakeholders of the growing importance of social license to operate, particularly in areas community concerns and environmental impact are at stake. Felix Q for Lunchtime News.
Well, now we want to get into our interview portion this afternoon, as is the custom in the business segment. Today we are focusing on the real estate sector here in the country. Joining us this afternoon is Chris Ochieng, the Chief Executive Officer of Gulf Cup Real Estate. Chris, good afternoon and welcome to our studios.
Good afternoon and thank you for having me here.
And maybe, Chris, give us an overview. How is the sector looking like as we speak?
Well, the real estate sector, as you know, has ripple effects across the economy. So there's been challenges in terms of pricing going up, but also there've been very good uptake in terms of residents. This is a basic need we are creating, a decency. So either real estate will always progress, maybe at a slow pace or a higher pace, but it's regularly stable.
And with the economic shocks you've just alluded to, do you have customers as we speak?
Yes, we do. We do have customers. As you know, there are different forms of owning real estate. Others are coming through mortgages, the installment payments, and right now we are interacting with government to find a way of offering a tenant purchase scheme for those who cannot afford mortgages but can afford rents to where they live.
And what is the most outstanding challenges, given that you just clearly outlined there are some challenges within the sector? So what is the significant challenge that you have at least ensured that you looked into?
The biggest challenge is actually the cost of finance during construction, the cost of inputs, and on the other side, affordability of the units in terms of how do citizens come to own their units? How do we make it affordable for them to be able to own their units?
And how have you addressed that as Gulf Cup?
So as Gulf Cup Africa, Gulf Cup Real Estate, we addressed that through one, having several partnerships with banking institutions and financial institutions. As I mentioned earlier also, liaising with government in terms of how do we turn most mortgages into rent-to-own projects.
And of course, what are some of the benefits people have been able to witness within this sector?
If I start from the construction side, so obviously there are many jobs which are created in real estate, right? Suppliers who supply to the real estate industry. Then you get financial institutions who also plug into the real estate industry. It has a ripple effect from the developer to the mamamboga down there who supplies the sites in terms of inputs and food.
And of course, we do know the sector at least exacerbated some of the challenges, especially during the COVID-19 era. Maybe tell us, how have you picked up from that particular era? Because you see, at the end of the day, the effects of the pandemic are still being felt still today.
That's correct, and I will say government has also helped a lot in that. During the COVID era, the inputs became very expensive. Shipping and logistics became a nightmare. And of course, also on the end user, because of the halt in the economy, there are many people who could not afford to pay rentals or to buy rentals. We've worked with banks across different sectors in terms of, first, how do we issue guarantees during procurement? How do we order smartly and order in bulk in terms of inputs to local prices? How does government assist us, right, in terms of putting in guarantees to ensure the developers do not go out of pocket, but at the same time cannot afford do not develop the product in an expensive manner. And to the end user side, we've spoken to banks also. They give cushions to end users. They give cushions to people who are taking mortgages. They've assisted the rental buyers. And we've come up with frameworks on how to ensure they own real estate.
And talking about sustainable development, you do know this is the main focus of the current administration.
Correct.
Also taking into consideration of what we are facing through climatic conditions at the end of the day. So what are you doing differently to ensure that the developments you're carrying out across the country are sustainable and they're complementing our environment?
So at Gulf Cup being the largest affordable real estate developer in Kenya, it is ingrained in us to ensure we offer sustainable communities. We are working with IFC to ensure we do EDGE-certified developments. For instance, we do things like water harvesting. We use solar power. We start from design in terms of ensuring we have natural lighting. We create an environment for end users where they are comfortable, where they don't spend a lot of money on things like power because we create natural lighting. We are an award-winning developer in Kenya. We have developed Buxton in Mombasa. We are doing Starehe Point in Nairobi, in City, and LV Marina in Kisumu.
And maybe to the Kenyans who are watching you right now, why is it important to ensure at the end of the day, these buildings you're building, not just for housing, but for the hotels or whatever you're building for, why is it important to ensure that they complement our environment?
Okay, so you see, Abdiaziz, when you buy a unit, you want to ensure we can first preserve the value of a unit. We do not want to devalue a unit. That is one sector where you need to go green and ensure the use of materials you choose are actually sustainable. Number two, you living there, we do not also want to bulk you with the burden of paying a higher service charge because you keep running your power 24/7 or you have no way of collecting surface runoff water or rainwater. We ensure all those are incorporated. Basically, in the long run, it makes the development more cheaper and it adheres to the environmental issues that we are facing right now.
And maybe tell us, what are some of the emerging trends within the sector and how have you coped with them?
So you'll find emerging trends in the sector basically on what different sectors we play. We are a mixed-use developer. We cater for different sectors across the real estate. We look at commercial, hospitality, retail, and most importantly, our focus is on residential. We put a lot of focus on affordable residential. Following the Vision 2030 or rather the vision of the government to provide affordable housing, we ensure we have streamlined the process. We've paid our school fees in Buxton, and we have a formula now where we can develop units at a cheaper price, right? Quality, and ensure when you're living there, the life of the project, you usually pay very little in terms of service charge.
And maybe tell us what are some of the gaps that also you have witnessed during the tenure you have run that particular company or supervising that particular company. What are some of these gaps you have been able to see and how have you plugged them?
So some of the gaps we saw is people had a notion that affordable housing is basically houses that are designed poorly or houses that are meant for the poor people. But for us, we've looked at it and ensured where I live, anybody can live. We have developed it. We have developed our developments in terms of looking at the lifestyle and decency of that development. What do I mean by that? If you look at Buxton, for example, affordable housing development, the people living there can access clubs, they can access amenities like swimming pools, they can access, giving them a decent lifestyle without creating something or the notion that this is cheap. Hence, affordable means cheap. Affordable means decency. And there are very many ways to tackle it in terms of how you finance it, how you develop it, how you procure it, how you bring the woven fabric together.
And also, given that we're coming to an end of this particular interview, maybe tell us what are some of the recommendations you're making, especially to the Ministry of Lands and Affordable Housing that is also carrying out a similar project. How can they better your work so that you can complement even the programs that the government is undertaking?
So for the ministry, they've really been supportive. But the issue where we are still tackling and trying to interrogate and come with is the home ownership. And I'd like to give a practical example for that. You see, there are very many Kenyans who are paying rent out here. They've been paying rent for years, right? They have not had an issue in paying rent, but they have an issue in how they are qualified by banks to own houses, where you are told, Abdiaziz, you have to bring a pay slip, you have to pay a deposit of this. We are working closely with them to ensure it is actually affordable. 1,000 may seem affordable, but it may be unaffordable to somebody else. So it is how do we create a mechanism to ensure home ownership, right, is easier for the common mwananchi.
And we have to talk about the comrades, given that you do know that even university students are watching us right now and are studying to become or work in that particular sector. So are there jobs at the end of the day as you make your final remarks?
Yes, real estate will always has jobs. If you look at the different construction trades, around 17 to 20 of different construction trades. You've not even gone to the build firm professionals in terms of the consultancies. You have your engineers, your QSs, your MEPs, etc. And the ripple effect it causes throughout. So real estate, housing is usually a big job driver in the economy.
Thank you for making time for us, Chris Ocheng. Thank you so much. That is Chris Ocheng, the Chief Executive Officer of Gulf Cup Real Estate. You just heard the status update of how the sector is looking, of course, from the economic shocks that are being experienced in the country and how they are at least addressing some of those rising challenges within that particular sector. That concludes our interview bit. And now directly let's jump into the world of sport, where athletes from the Kenya prisons were last night celebrated for their exemplary performances during their national and international competitions this year. Now, among the athletes celebrated last night were the medalists at the World Masters Indoor Championship held in Florida in the United States of America.
More than 10 athletes from the Kenya prisons were last night celebrated by the department for their performances in their respective competitions, including those who competed at the World Masters in the United States. Among them were gold medalist Peter Mwangi, who won gold in the shot put, Ibrahim Muya, who won silver in the 60 meters, Elizabeth Mudhoka, who finished fourth in the 400 meters, and Regina Mulatia, who scooped 2 silver medals at the World Masters Games last month.
These athletes have demonstrated that success is not accidental. It is the product of countless hours of sacrifice, rising after every fall, and of daring to dream bigger, even in the face of adversity. Their achievements are a reflection of the values we hold dear as a service: commitment, discipline, professionalism, accountability, and teamwork.
Other athletes who were celebrated include Lilian Odira, Abigail Chelangat, and boxer Rayton Okwiri, alongside 2 other civilian athletes who will be recruited by the prisons department.
Let us always remember that as much as we compete, we also grow. Win or lose, what matters is the spirit in which we play, the lessons we take, and the unity we strengthen.
The athletes were honored by Principal Secretary in the State Department of Correctional Services, Salome Biko, who said the sportsmen and women are being honored because of their spirit of perseverance, discipline and patriotism that defines true champions.
Let us not only honor our champions, but also renew our collective commitment to nurture, encourage, and invest in the untapped potential within our ranks. Let this serve as a reminder, while we safeguard the present, we must also remain committed to shaping a future filled with promise, both on the field and beyond.
She urged the department through their coaches to continue investing in the talents available. Miriam Cherop and Millicent Nyambane were the two civilian athletes also celebrated.
Well, that concludes our bulletin. But before we leave, I want to take you live to the Nakuru State Lodge, where the National Drama and Film Festival State Concert is currently happening. That is being presided over by none other than President William Ruto and First Lady Rachel Ruto. The winners of the drama festival this year have converged at the Nakuru State Lodge. Let's listen to some of the entertainment that is currently ongoing there.
Unajua ukiangalia vile wazazi wa kitambo walitulea ni tofauti sana na siku hizi. Sisi kitambo, I remember there was a time brothangu alikuwa anataka kucommit suicide kimondio. Na mimi nilikuwa napika dinner hapo. Na unajua tulikuwa tumewatch movie ya wazungu. Kwa hiyo movie kuna mtoto alikuwa amepigia mamake simu akilia. Piga sema, "Hello mommy, I wanna die. I wanna kill myself, mommy. You don't love me. I'm dying." Then brothangu kimondio akaona hiyo sarakasi yote, akaenda the next day akapigia mamangu simu na the same threats. "Hello mom, mimi nimekaa nikafikiria nikaona ninjiue, nyinyi hamunipendi. Mimi najinyonga leo nikufe. Nilikuwa napika dina, mamangu akaniambia, "Chipukizi, punguza sahani ya mtu mmoja, kuna mtu anakufa saa hii." Kimondio alirudi nyumbani wase. So even karibu
makofi yake tafadhali. Coming next on stage, all the way from Kisii County, Kenyenya Sub-County, Kenyenya TTC will be presenting a creative cultural dance by the title Amarwa, which means alcohol. The dance is produced by Duncan Okwaro, directed by Madam Priska Kimase, and I also took part in directing the dance. So, the dance is about alcoholism. A doctor, a highly qualified surgeon, abandons the patient because of an addiction of alcoholism. He is rehabilitated thereafter and recovers. To the delight of the community, he becomes a productive person. Ogamba, Egoki, Mr. President, enjoy. Thank you.
Kwale,